So, the DCEU is pretty much dead, but hopefully James Gunn's new DCU is much better, but we'll just have to wait and see. But in the meantime, I would like to tell you how I would make my own DC universe if I was in charge. So the first movie of Phase 1 will be The Batman. This will be exactly the same as The Batman of last year with Robert Pattinson, directed by Matt Reeves. But I will change it up a bit. I would introduce Dick Grayson in this movie and have him become Robin. I'd also have Riddler wear a more comic accurate costume. I do like the costume he has in the movie, but I would like it to be more comic accurate. And we'll also see the death of the Flying Graysons, and we'll also see Tony Zuko, who killed the Flying Graysons, and he's going to be working for the Penguin. The rest could stay the same because the movie is perfect. So the next movie in the phase will be Superman, the Man of Tomorrow, and I would have Tyler Hoechlin play Superman. I'll admit I haven't seen Superman and Lois, so I don't really know about it, but from what I heard, he's really good as Superman, and that's a great show. So in this what if scenario, I'm imagining him as the movie Superman. The supporting cast will have Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, Perry White, Jonathan Kent, and Martha Kent. And then the main villain of this movie will be Lex Luthor, but I'd have Metallo and Parasite as secondary villains. And the movie won't be an origin story. Clark Kent has been Superman for a couple years, and at the end of the movie, Superman reveals his identity to Lois Lane, and then there will be a post-credit scene that sets up Brainiac to be the main villain of the sequel. So the next movie will be Wonder Woman. In this movie, Jamie Alexander will play Wonder Woman instead of Gal Gadot, and the main villain of this movie will be Cheetah, which is Wonder Woman's arch enemy, which I don't know why they decided for the first movie to use Ares, and then the second movie they used Maxwell Lord, and Cheetah was a secondary villain. That just made no sense to me. And then the movie will follow Diana Prince leaving Themyscira to fight for the people on Earth and coming up with a new identity, Diana Prince, and she'll meet Steve Trevor, and then there will be a reference to the Justice Society, and there will be a post-credit scene that shows a fast forward to the present, so we can check in on how Diana is now. In this, Steve Trevor doesn't die in the actual movie, but in the post-credit scene we can see that he's very old now, and he's just about to die. So, the next movie will be Flash, and we'll have Lucas Till play Barry Allen because a lot of people want him to play Barry Allen. And it won't be an origin story, but we could have a brief scene in the beginning that shows Barry Allen getting struck by lightning. And in this movie, Barry Allen is already engaged to Iris West, because I don't want him meeting her for the first time and then them falling. That's gonna be kind of overdone. So I think it would be better if they're already together. I won't do that weird thing the show did where they were brother and step brother, step sister. That was weird. And also, this movie will introduce Wally West, and it'll be Barry Allen's first time meeting Wally. And the Rogues will be the main villain, and the leader of the Rogues will be Captain Cold. The other members will be Heatwave, Golden Glider, Mirror Master, and Captain Boomerang. We'll also have Eobard Thawne, Reverse Flash, in this movie, but only briefly, a small cameo maybe, or maybe a couple blink and you miss it scenes, and or maybe a post-credit scene. And then at the end of the movie we'll have Wally West get super speed to set him up for the sequel, have him become Kid Flash in the sequel. The next movie will be Green Lantern Emerald Dawn, and I'm kind of taking some inspiration from this YouTuber named Superframe, who had his idea for a Green Lantern saga for the movies I'm going to be taking inspiration from them. Jensen Ackles will play Hal Jordan. The Manhunters will be the main villain, it was Super Frame's plan. And Hal and Sinestro become good friends during the course of the movie. And Despero will have a brief cameo, who I'll get to later. The post-credit scene will set up Sinestro setting up the Yellow Lantern Corps. Next movie is Aquaman, and we'll have Liam Hemsworth play Aquaman, and Black Manta will be the main villain, and Aqualad will also be in this movie, and Orm is going to be in this movie, but he's going to be in it as an ally, but at the end he starts questioning Arthur's leadership to set him up like as a villain for the sequel. The next movie is a sequel to the Batman, which is Batman and Robin. And don't get it confused with the terrible other movie called Batman and Robin. And in this movie, it'll explore the father-son relationship Batman and Robin will have. And the main villain will be Hugo Strange, played by Giancarlo Esposito. This is kind of based on Nando V Movies, a YouTuber. He had an idea for a Batman sequel with Hugo Strange, played by Giancarlo Esposito. And I think Giancarlo Esposito can do that role very well. I think Hugo Strange is a very underrated villain. So Robin will have as much screen time as Batman in this movie. Barbara Gordon will also be in this movie, and she'll become Batgirl. Clayface, Killer Croc, Man-Bat, and Professor Pig will be like side villains in the movie, and they'll be created by Hugo Strange. I want the third act to take place entirely in Arkham Asylum, since it's Hugo Strange. I'll also introduce Harvey Dent. The next movie is called Superman the Brainiac Invasion. Obviously, Brainiac will be the main villain. Kara Zor-El lands on Earth and becomes Supergirl. Martian Manhunter will also be introduced, and he'll help Superman and Supergirl fight Brainiac. We'll also see Jonathan Kent die of a heart attack. Superman will also talk to the conscience of Jor-El. Now, our final movie of the phase will be Justice League, the one all the other movies have built to. The Justice League will be Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Barry Allen Flash, Hal Jordan Green Lantern, Aquaman, and Martian Manhunter, which is the original 7 from the comics. The main villain will be Despero, who is trying to conquer Earth. Despero is one of the oldest Justice League villains, not the first, but maybe second or third. Like I mentioned before, Despero will show up in Green Lantern as like a cameo. That cameo in Green Lantern could set him up for like this movie to be the villain. And we'll also see Snapper Carr. You don't know, he was from the first ever Justice League comic, and he was in like the early comics, and he's gonna be the one who sets the Justice League up together, like to defeat Despero. He can be kind of like the Nick Fury of this movie. At the end of the movie, they create the Hall of Justice. Heroes are gonna spend most of it in costumes. We'll rarely ever see their civilian identities, rarely ever see them unmasked. By the end of them, the heroes with secret identities will reveal it to the rest of the team, so they all trust each other. And then we'll have a post-credit scene that features Darkseid, just like how the Avengers movie had a post-credit scene with Thanos. Phase 2. So the first movie of Phase 2 will be Shazam, and it's gonna be basically the same as the Shazam movie we actually got, but I'll change it a bit. I'll have some differences. So the post-credit scene will set up Black Adam to be the main villain of the sequel, which I'm really mad how Shazam and Black Adam got made into separate franchises when Black Adam should be a part of the Shazam movies as a villain, and they made Black Adam into a hero. Don't get me started on that. And the 7 Deadly Sins will be more comic accurate, and they wouldn't be like these gray, boring villains. And instead of Billy giving his powers to his entire family, he only gives it to Freddy and Mary. I think I'll change the ages of the Shazam family. Like, I'd make them younger, and played by younger actors. I get why they made Billy 14 instead of like 10 like he is in the comics, because like they didn't want to hire younger actors because younger actors usually are terrible, and also because it's kind of not a good thing to get kids that young into like these movies. The Superman cameo in the end, it will actually show his face and it'll be like played by Tyler Hoechlin. So the next movie will be Wonder Woman Paradise Lost. So Donna Troy will be introduced in this movie as Wonder Girl. Circe or Circe will be the main villain. Hawkgirl, aka Shia Hole, would also be introduced. The movie is going to be about Circe destroying Themyscira while Wonder Woman was gone, and Wonder Woman and Wonder Girl have to protect it now. And Steve Trevor is going to be old and he's dying. And Circe will also turn Doris Zool into Giganta, and Wonder Woman and Wonder Girl have to fight her. So the next movie is Green Arrow, and we'll have Austin Butler play Green Lantern, and Black Canary will be in the movie as a love interest. Oliver Queen will meet Roy Harper, who becomes Speedy in the movie. We'll also see some of Oliver Queen's time on Starfish Island and see what he learned there and why he wants to become Green Arrow now. The main villain of this movie will be Merlin, Malcolm Merlin. We'll also get like a Hal Jordan cameo because Hal Jordan and Oliver Queen are good friends in the comics. So the next movie is Flash 2. Wally West will become Kid Flash in this movie. Reverse Flash will be the main villain. Barry and Iris get married in this movie, and Barry finds out about Eobard Thawne and like how he's from the future and how he's obsessed with him and has gone back in time to ruin his life. Barry would also learn how to time travel in this movie, and I also have brief appearances from each of the rogues, maybe not all of them. So the next movie is Green Lantern Sinestro Corps War. Well, in this movie, we'll introduce Jon Stewart into the movie because I think, yeah, they obviously should have to introduce him in the sequel. It'll be kind of like a buddy cop movie with Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. The main villain of this movie will obviously be Sinestro. We'll have Hal Jordan's ex-girlfriend Carol Ferris become the Star Sapphire, and a lot of this movie is going to deal with Hal and Jon having to work together and Hal having to be like a mentor kind of to Jon. They don't like each other at first, but they learn to like become friends. Sinestro, he creates the Sinestro Corps after he disagrees with, after he's been like disagreeing and like fighting with the Guardians of the Universe. And we also learn that the Guardians of the Universe are pretty corrupt themselves. So the whole movie, the Sinestro Corps goes to war with the Green Lantern Corps. And I also want to have a like little reference to Guy Gardner, like Hal can mention him, because for those of you who don't know, Guy Gardner actually was introduced before Jon Stewart, which, you know, it blew my mind. But so yeah, I can have him be mentioned, but he won't show up at all in the movie. We can just say he got the ring and like Hal thought he was a jerk and like, you know, he went off doing some other thing somewhere else. So the next movie will be Batman Heart of Ice, and we'll obviously have Mr. Freeze as the villain. It's going to be loosely based on the Batman the Animated Series episode, which is really good. Batman will see Mr. Freeze's wife suffering from her illness. Bruce Wayne helps people with similar illnesses using his money. Now, Bruce and Dick, they have kind of an argument on how they deal with Mr. Freeze, so they'll kind of be drifting apart. We can also introduce Jason Todd. We can kind of start up like spark a romance between Dick and Barbara like in the comics, and at the end Dick leaves Gotham. Mr. Freeze in the movie has to work with Penguin to save his wife. In the post-credits scene will have Harvey Dent become Two-Face. So the next movie is Aquaman War on Atlantis. So the main villain of this movie will be Orm, and it'll be about Orm challenging Arthur to the throne. So kind of like the actual Aquaman movie we got. And it'll be revealed that Black Manta has been locked in an Atlantean prison, and we can see him like as a prisoner there. And Orm, he beats Aquaman and becomes king of Atlantis. We see how much of like a dictator he is. At the end of the movie, Aquaman defeats Orm and becomes king once again, and decides he wants to help Atlantis. He wants to use Atlantis to help the land-dwelling people. And we'll have a post-credit scene that shows Lex Luthor breaking Black Manta out of prison and recruiting him to the Legion of Doom. Next movie is Superman, Last Son of Krypton. In this movie, Lex Luthor will create Bizarro to fight Superman, and Bizarro could kind of be like the main villain of the movie. We'll also introduce Steel, and in this movie we'll have Lex Luthor be in his power suit to fight Superman. And we can also introduce Crypto, and we'll have a post-credit scene that shows Superboy. Next movie will be Teen Titans, and this team will consist of Robin, Speedy, Wonder Girl, Aqualad, Kid Flash, Beast Boy, and Raven. The main villain of this movie will be Brother Blood, and I want Ravager, aka Grant Wilson, to be like a secondary villain. So this movie will also pick up after Dick leaves Gotham at the end of Batman Heart of Ice. And we'll have a mid-credit scene that sets up Deathstroke, and we'll have a post-credit scene that will show Dick Grayson becoming Nightwing. Now, the last movie of this phase will be Justice League Tower of Babel, and the Justice League will consist of like the same, like the main 7 members of like the first movie, but will add also Green Arrow, Black Canary, and Hawkgirl to the team. And the villains of this movie will be the Legion of Doom, and it'll consist of Lex Luthor, Joker, Giganta, Reverse Flash, Sinestro, Black Manta, Clock King, Shadow Thief, and Malefic. So in this movie, Batman's records, which include all the Justice League members' weaknesses, gets hacked, like how in the Tower of Babel story, and it gets sold to Lex Luthor. Half of the Justice League will be mad at Batman for having records on how to defeat him, and the ones who are mad are Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and Aquaman, while Superman, Flash, and Martian Manhunter are like more easy on him. And John Stewart will show up to help out the Justice League in the third act, but he's not a part of the team yet. And also, in this movie, the Legion of Doom, they have a mother box that they use to find Doomsday, and then they use Doomsday to fight the Justice League in the third act. And then at the end of the movie, Superman sacrifices himself to beat Doomsday, and the movie will end with his funeral. Now, I also would like to have there be TV shows in this phase, like kind of like how, you know, Marvel had like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then they had like the Netflix shows like Daredevil and Jessica Jones and that stuff. So yeah, these will be connected to the movies, but they're not going to be like necessary like to like watch, like to understand the movies. So the first show will be Blue Beetle, and this was about Ted Kord Blue Beetle, and I would also like it to feature some of the other Charlton characters like The Question, Captain Atom, and maybe like Nightshade. Next show will be Booster Gold, which be about Booster Gold, obviously. And I'd also like to have those two shows have a crossover called Blue and Gold, like the comic Blue and Gold. Like they'll have crossovers, and then they'll have like kind of like a special like presentation or like TV movie of like Blue and Gold, which will be interesting. And also a Swamp Thing show, because Swamp Thing's like cool. Also a Vixen show as well. Phase 3. The first movie of Phase 3 will be New Gods, and the main characters of this movie will be Orion, Light Ray, Mr. Miracle, Big Barda, Metron, Black Racer, Forager, and Highfather. The movie will be about Orion, leaving New Genesis to go on a quest to Apocalypse to defeat Darkseid, and other New Genesis residents follow Orion, including Lightray, Forager, Mr. Miracle, and Big Barda. Orion and Lightray in this movie have known each other for a long time, and they have kind of like a brotherly relationship. Lightray is like Orion's younger brother, kind of. Orion will meet Mr. Miracle and Big Barda, who are like married. Orion doesn't know if he can trust them, but he becomes friends with them throughout the movie. And the main villain of this movie will be Kalibak, who is sent by Darkseid to fight Orion. And Orion learns the truth that Darkseid is actually his father, and he's distraught by this. Orion beats and kills Kalibak, but Darkseid gets away. So the next movie in the phase will be Shazam! Battle of the Champions, and we will have Black Adam as the main villain. A Shazam versus Black Adam movie, which is what DC should have done instead of like Superman versus Black Adam and giving them okay, I don't want to get mad, but like it's just and then in the end of this movie, Billy will give the rest of the Shazam family his powers, and Dr. Savannah is going to be the one who like awakens Black Adam from like his imprisonment, and Black Adam wants revenge against Billy for taking his place as the new champion. And in this movie, Black Adam will kill the Shazam wizard, but Billy will beat Black Adam by tricking him into saying Shazam. I don't know how he'll do it, but he'll just do it. And then when he says it, he like dies. The next movie will be Wonder Woman, Gods and Mortals. Ares will be the main villain of this movie, which, yeah, what they should have done in the movies was set up Ares for like the third movie and not have him like be the villain right away. So this movie will also introduce Nubia and Artemis. Zeus will also appear in this movie to fight Ares, but Ares wins and kills Zeus. This movie will end with Themyscira being open to the public. The person who summons Ares is Felix Faust, kind of like how in Justice League the animated series Felix Faust summoned Hades, but instead I'm replacing it with Ares and in the movie I'm going to do something different from the comics where Ares is actually going to be revealed to Wonder Woman's father. I know that's like, it's usually Zeus or like Man out of Clay or whatever, but I think this will be a good, like, you know, subversion. And we'll have a post-credit scene where Hippolyta, or whatever Wonder Woman's mom's name is, gives Diana a mother box to protect. Next movie is going to be Nightwing, and it'll take place directly where Teen Titans left off, and Dick Grayson moves to Bloodhaven after quitting being Robin and now taking on the role of Nightwing. Blockbuster will be the main villain, while Lady Vic, Brutal, and the Electrocutioner and Twerk will be side villains. And Huntress will be in the movie as Dick's love interest, and she'll help him take down Blockbuster. This movie will also have many flashbacks of Dick Grayson as Robin. And also Batman, Alfred, Jason Todd, and Barbara Gordon will have brief appearances, while Batman will have like more appearances out of all of them, but like they'll still not have, each of them won't have that much time in it. And then at the end of the movie, Batman visits Nightwing and they have kind of like a heartfelt talk. And then we'll have a post-credit scene with Deathstroke. Next movie is Green Arrow and Black Canary. Green Arrow and Black Canary's romance will be an important part of the movie. Black Canary will have as much screen time as Green Arrow. Count Vertigo will be the main villain, and he'll be allied by the Longbow Hunters who work for him, and he's going to use the Longbow Hunters to kill Green Arrow, Black Canary, and Speedy. The movie will also introduce John Diggle, Henry Fife, and Emoko Queen. Next movie is Flash 3. So the main villain of this movie will be Grodd. The Thinker will also be joined as like a secondary villain working for Grodd, and Wally, he's much faster in this movie, but he still doesn't understand how to use his powers. In this movie, Barry Allen is now more level-headed and confident. We'll also introduce Jay Garrick in this movie, and it'll be revealed that Barry and Iris now have kids. And we'll also introduce Ray Palmer, aka the Atom, as a scientist at Star Labs. Next movie is Supergirl. Movie will pick up after Superman's death at the end of Tower of Babel. The movie is about Supergirl moving to National City and trying to learn how to fight crime without her cousin. Superman will appear in this movie as Flash in flashbacks. Silver Banshee will be the main villain, and Lois Lane, Martha Kent, and Jimmy Olsen will have cameos in the movie. Next movie is Green Lantern Rage of the Red Lanterns. Atrocitus will be the main villain of the movie. Guy Gardner and Alan Scott will be introduced, and we get to learn about the Blue Lantern Corps and the Red Lantern Corps. Atrocitus and the Red Lantern Corps want revenge on the Green Lantern Corps. Sinestro will also have a brief appearance, and then the post-credit scene will set up we'll have Jon Stewart joining the Justice League. This next movie will be Batman the Man Who Laughs. Joker will be the main villain, and in this movie he kills Jason Todd and shoots Barbara Gordon. In this movie, Nightwing will come back to Gotham to team up with Batman to stop the Joker. Harley Quinn, Two-Face, Mad Hatter, Victor Zsasz, and Scarecrow will be secondary villains working for the Joker. We learn more about Batman's complicated relationship with the Joker, and we'll also get a flashback of the first time Batman arrested Joker, and we'll also see Joker break Riddler out of Arkham Asylum. The next movie will be Aquaman Drowned Earth, and the main villain of this movie will be Triton, and this movie will also introduce Cal Durham, the Aqualad from Young Justice. Aquaman will have his hand cut off by Triton, and it'll be replaced with a hook like what happened in the 90s. Triton will kill Garth, so Cal Durham will become the new Aqualad, and Triton will send the Trench to attack Aquaman. The next movie is The Return of Superman. In this movie, Superman comes back from the dead. Supergirl comes back to Metropolis. The main villain of this movie is General Zod, and the movie will be about General Zod, Faora, and Non escaping the Phantom Zone to get revenge on Superman. Revenge on Superman for what Jor-El did to them. And Superman, Supergirl, Superboy, Steel, and Krypto team up against Zod and the other evil Kryptonians. Next movie is Teen Titans: The Judas Contract. The team will consist of Nightwing, Wonder Woman, Kid Flash, Speedy, Raven, Beast Boy, Cyborg, Bumblebee, Aqualad, Cal Durham, Aqualad, and Jericho. Deathstroke will be the main villain of this movie, and he'll use Terra to infiltrate the Teen Titans. The movie will also deal with the team mourning Garth's death that happened in Aquaman Drowned Earth. Deathstroke is going to almost beat Nightwing to death. Barbara Gordon will also work for the Teen Titans. Now she is Oracle. Now she'll work for the Teen Titans as Oracle. Next movie will be Justice League: The Darkseid War. And Darkseid will obviously be the main villain, and the movie will be about Darkseid searching for the anti-life equation, and the Justice League has to stop with them. And we'll have many members of the Justice League. We'll also have Darkseid's Elite that has Desaad, Granny Goodness, Kanto, Mantis, Vermin Vundabar, Steppenwolf, and Kalibak, who Darkseid revived. And at the end of the movie, Darkseid learns the anti-life equation, and he wins basically, and every sentient being on Earth becomes his slave. Martian Manhunter uses telepathy to shield the minds of some heroes from being under Darkseid's control. So, the next movie is Green Lantern Agent Orange. In this movie, Kyle Rayner will be introduced, Larfleeze will be the main villain, the Indigo Tribe will be introduced. Movie will take place during the same time as Justice League: The Darkseid War, which is why Hal Jordan is not in that movie and why Jon Stewart isn't in this movie. And movie will take place entirely in space, and the only planets visited in the movie are Oa, Okara, Vega, and Nock, with only a brief scene with Kyle on Earth getting recruited to the Green Lantern Corps. Post-credit scene has some Green Lantern Corps members getting taken over by the anti-life equation, and Martian Manhunter and Jon Stewart show up to tell Hal Jordan what's going on. So the next movie is Plastic Man. So the next movie, it's gonna be a little fun one because the last movies were kind of downer. This is a more like comedic one, and so this I want this movie to be entirely animated because I think this character works better animated, and it'll obviously be a comedy because you're not gonna make Plastic Man dark and serious. And I also want this movie to. I know this might sound a bit out of line, but I kind of want this movie to be rated R. I know that would be weird, but you can do a lot with like these kind of powers and like R-rated. And Plastic Man isn't such an innocent guy, so it could work. So the final movie of Phase 3 is Justice League Final Crisis. And it takes place directly after Justice League The Darkseid War. And we'll have the remaining heroes, which is gonna be like the original seven and some newer members. And in this movie, Barry Allen will try to go back in time to stop Darkseid from getting the anti-life equation, and the remaining heroes will have to fight the brainwashed heroes, but they have to try to keep him alive. And Barry Allen will die in this movie, setting up Wally West to become like the new Flash, and at the end of the movie, the heroes will finally defeat Darkseid. And so for TV shows, we'll have the Question TV shows because he's an interesting character, and it'll kind of be like a spin-off of Blue Beetle since he was in Blue Beetle. Next show is going to be Lobo because Lobo's a cool character. Next show will be Constantine, which will be a spin-off of Swamp Thing, and a lot of people like Constantine, so yeah, that'll be interesting. Another movie will be Strange Adventures about Adam Strange. The other TV show will be Huntress, which is a spin-off of Nightwing. And the show could be about like Huntress and like Bloodhaven, like while Nightwing has gone back to Gotham. Alright, so that was the end of Phase 3 of my DC Cinematic Universe. So the first movie of Phase 4 will be Justice Society. The team will consist of Dr. Fate, specifically Kent Nelson, Carter Hall Hawkman, Hawkgirl Shira Sanders Hall, Wonder Woman, Jay Garrick Flash, Alan Scott Green Lantern, The Spectre, Dinah Drake Black Canary, Al Pratt Atom, and Wildcat. This movie is set in Earth 2, so this is kind of like a multiverse movie. This takes place during World War II. In this movie, the main villain is Vandal Savage. Vandal Savage is like a Nazi general. His plan is to overthrow Hitler and just become the leader of the world. The Justice League, they're not alone. They got some help. They got Steve Trevor, Rick Flag Sr., Sergeant Rock, and the Black Ops helping them. Vandal Savage also has people working with him. He's got Captain Nazi, White Dragon, and Baron Blitzkrieg. So next movie is Mr. Miracle. This is kind of like a pseudo sequel to New Gods. This is also going to be kind of like a prequel. This will have a lot of flashback of Scott Free, aka Mr. Miracle, and we'll see him meeting Big Barda for the first time, and we'll also see the death of the original Mr. Miracle, Thaddeus Brown. After Darkseid died in Final Crisis, Granny Goodness has now taken over Apocalypse. Granny Goodness has the female Furies working for her. She sends the female Furies to hunt down Mr. Miracle and Big Barda since she hates them and wants like revenge against them. We'll also see flashbacks to Big Barda when she was a part of the female Furies. We'll also see flashbacks of like Scott as a kid when he was growing up in Granny Goodness's orphanage. We'll have other heroes like Oberon, Ryan, Light Ray, Ted Brown, Becca, Hyman, and Metron like helping out Mr. Miracle, and Big Barda. And then secondary villains in this movie will be Kanto, Vermin Wunderbar, and Dr. Bedlam. And we'll also see Darkseid in a flashback. So the next movie is Shazam, the Monster Society of Evil. This movie is about the Shazam family. Everyone has powers, like the entire family. Mr. Mind forms the Monster Society of Evil, which consists of Dr. Savannah, Mr. Atom, Ibak, King Kull, and Black Adam. Billy, he kind of doesn't really know how to be a leader. He's kind of struggling. Mr. Mind summons Sabak at the end of the movie, so the Shazam family, they not only have to fight Sabak, but also like a giant version of Mr. Mind. Like how I mentioned before that Black Adam is a part of the Monster Society of Evil because he was brought back by Mr. Mind. And at the end of the movie, Black Adam gets taken away by the government. Next movie is Doom Patrol. The team will be the Chief, Robot Man, Elasta Woman, Negative Man, Mento, Crazy Jane, Joshua Clay, and Dorothy Spinner. This movie will be rated R and also an origin story. Mr. Nobody is going to be the main villain of the movie, and he is messing with the team's sanity. And how they defeat Mr. Nobody is by trapping him into a painting. We'll have a post-credit scene of Beast Boy joining the team. So the next movie is Nightwing, A Night in Bloodhaven. Barbara Gordon, aka Oracle, will also be in this movie. She'll be kind of like a second lead. Deathstroke wants revenge against Nightwing because Nightwing defeated him at the end of like the previous like Teen Titans movie. And we'll also be introduced to Rose Wilson. The second main villain in this movie will be Tad Ryerstad, who is a narcissistic, psychopathic vigilante who calls himself Nightwing. He calls himself a hero even though he's killing innocent people. Nightwing, he sees a troubled kid. He wants to help Tad become a bit better person. Then he's just like, you know what? I gotta turn this guy in because he finds out how hateful he is and he sees him like murdering people. Deathstroke takes in Tad as his apprentice. Both of them hate Nightwing so much that they bond and like become a team. We'll also have some other villains. We'll have Tarantula, Shrike, Double Dare, Torque, Vigilante, and Black Mask. The next movie is Green Arrow, The Archer's Quest. Oliver Queen, he's going on a quest. He's joined with Black Canary, his lover, and Hal Jordan, his best friend. Oliver and Dinah get married. And we also find out that Green Arrow has a son named Connor Hawk. We also get introduced to Mia Durden and Naomi Singh. The main villain of this movie is Onomatopoeia. He wants to try to kill Connor Hawk, but Oliver, Dinah, and Hal, they stop him. We'll also get other heroes in this movie, like Jon Stewart, Wildcat, Martian Manhunter, Hawkgirl, Metamorpho, and Aquaman. Next movie is Blue Beetle. After the death of Ted Kord, a teenager named Jaime Reyes, he finds the scarab, which, it grafts onto him and it turns him into the Blue Beetle. And if you've seen my Phase 2 video on the series, you know that there's a Blue Beetle TV show. And this movie is kind of a continuation of the TV show. Blue Beetle comes into conflict with a mob boss known as Ladama, the main villain of the movie. Jaime, his two best friends in this movie will be Paco Testas and Brenda Del Vecchio. We find out that Ladama is actually Brenda's aunt, and she tries to turn her against Jaime. In the third act, Ladama becomes Lady Styx. Secondary villains in this movie will be Carapax, Devil Dog, and Anubis. Mid-credit scene will tease the return of Ted Kord, and the post-credit scene will tease Paco becoming Blood Beetle. Next movie is Supergirl, Legion of Superheroes. Kara Zor-El, or Supergirl, gets transported to the future by the Legion of Superheroes. The Legion of Superheroes, there will be Brainiac 5, Cosmic Boy, Lightning Lad, Saturn Girl, Bouncing Boy, and Chameleon Boy. She decides to join the Legion when she finds out that the reason why they brought her to the future was because they needed help to take down the main villain of this movie, Vril Dox, who is the clone son of Brainiac. Brainiac 5 will be a love interest for Supergirl. After they defeat Vril Dox, Supergirl decides, you know what? I'm gonna stay in the future and be a member of the Legion of Superheroes. Next movie is Teen Titans: The Terror of Trigon. You probably already know who the villain of this movie is. It's Trigon, like obviously from the title. The team is now Nightwing, Arsenal, Wonder Girl, Raven, Cyborg, Calderam, Jaime, Reyes, Bumblebee, and Jarek. Trigon has been unleashed. He wants to take over the world. Trigon, he's the father of Raven, and in this movie he tries to corrupt Raven's soul. Trigon wants Raven to be evil and take over the world, but Raven's like, nah, I'm a superhero. We also get a conflict between Roy and Dick, where Roy's like, you know, I could be a better leader than Dick, and like he gets into a fight with him. We'll also have a brief appearance of the Fearsome Five. In this movie, there will be a cult that worships Trigon. The cult is led by none other than Brother Blood. And at the end of the movie, Raven sacrifices her life to kill Trigon, so it's kind of a bittersweet ending. After Raven dies, the team decides to disband. So the next movie is called Flash, the fastest man alive. In Final Crisis, Barry died. Wally West is now the new Flash. He's like, how am I gonna be just like him? But at the end of the movie, he learns to be more confident in himself. He will also have a mentor in Jay Garrick. So the main villain of this movie is Mirror Master, but not the original Mirror Master. There's a new Mirror Master, Evan McCulloch. He forms a new version of the Rogues, which consists of the second Trickster, Axel Walker, the second Captain Boomerang, Owen Mercer, Abracadabra, Top, and Dr. Alchemy. The Pied Piper, he's reformed and he's an ally to Wally West. The love interest in the movie is going to be Linda Park. At the end of the movie, Wally's like, you know, why do I need this secret identity? And he just reveals to the world that he is the Flash. The last film in this phase is Green Lantern, the First Lantern. I want to give a big shout out to Superframe, a YouTube channel that you should check out. He kind of does what I do. Like he did it first where he makes his own DC universe. He has his own series on like how he'd do a Green Lantern saga. I basically just stole everything from him. I want to give him credit because I just based off like what he did for his Green Lantern movies to like that's what I'm doing. Kind of like the exact same movies. So I just want to give credit to him because that's who I got the idea for the Green Lantern movies for. Big thing about this movie is it'll be the first Green Lantern movie with the four main Green Lanterns, Hal, John, Guy, and Kyle. Krona unleashes Volthoom, who is the first Lantern to destroy the Guardians. We'll also get flashbacks to like the creation of the first Lantern. This movie does a big part in showing us the dark side of the Guardians. William Hand will be an important part in this movie. This movie will set up the next movie, which is Blackest Night. In this movie, we'll learn that the power of every emotion, like green, yellow, red, blue, pink, indigo, orange, they can combine together to form the White Lantern. In the post-credit scene of the movie, William Hand sees Necron. This will tease him becoming Black Hand for the next movie. So that's all the movies done. Let's talk about TV shows. So we'll get a Catwoman show, an animated series of the Green Lantern Corps. This will be all canon. Green Lantern, it could be like DC's Star Wars. If we do like a Green Lantern animated series, it could be like Green Lanterns, like Clone Wars. The next show, it's about Themyscira, and we'll also get a Zatanna show. Next show is Animal Man, and the last show is Suicide Squad. So that is it for Phase 4 of the DCU. Okay, so the first movie is Batman Under the Red Hood. I assume most of you already know the storyline Batman Under the Red Hood. You know, there's an anti-hero named Red Hood who kills criminals and he wants to, like, murder the Joker. And it turns out he's actually Jason Todd, you know, the second Robin, who was killed by the Joker but then brought back by the Lazarus Pit. In the comics, it was like Superboy Prime, like, punched the universe and then he came back and then they put him in the Lazarus Pit. But, you know, in this, it'll just be the Lazarus Pit. We won't have that. Red Hood, he'll be kind of an antagonist, but he becomes like a reluctant ally to Batman. Also, Tim Drake, he's been Robin since after Jason died. The villains of this movie are gonna be the League of Assassins, led by Ra's al Ghul. And Ra's al Ghul, he's gonna be the main villain of the movie, and so Jason decides to team up with Batman and Robin so that they can take down Ra's al Ghul. And then at the end of the movie, Batman and Ra's al Ghul, they both die. We'll have a post-credit scene that teases Damian Wayne. So the next movie is Static. You haven't seen the animated series Static Shock? You should. It's really good. Basically, the storyline is 14-year-old kid. His name is Virgil Hawkins. He lives in Dakota City. He gets exposed to mutagen gas, which gives him electric powers. A big explosion that, like, exposes mutagen gas, and that, like, people who are around that area, they get powers, and, like, it's called the Big Bang, and all the people who got the powers are known as Bang Babies. So Virgil becomes a superhero named Static. His best friend Richie helps him out and is kind of like his guy in the chair. There are villains who are also other Bang Babies who got powers, like Ivan Evans, who calls himself Ebon, and he has like these shadow powers. Ebon has a gang of other Bang Babies, such as Talon, Hotstreak, and Shiv. The next movie is Birds of Prey. The team will be Oracle, Black Canary, Huntress, Big Barda, Lady Blackhawk, Cassandra Cain, Batgirl, and Kendra Saunders, Hawkgirl. Since Batman's death, crime in Gotham City has skyrocketed. Barbara Gordon decides to put together a team of female heroes to defend the city. This movie will have the origin of Cassandra Cain. There's a criminal, Noah Cutler, also known as the Calculator, who is the main villain of this movie, who's been a kind of like a tactical supervisor for criminals, and he helps them with heists. And we'll also get an origin story for Kendra Saunders, Hawkgirl. Secondary villains in this movie will be Savant, Copperhead, Cheshire, and White Canary. So the next movie is Justice Society Legacy. This one's in the present day, Earth 2. There is a new Justice Society team of younger heroes, and that team will be Khalid Nassour, Dr. Fate, Power Girl, Michael Holt, Mr. Terrific, Stargirl, Atom Smasher, Cyclone, Jakeem Thunder, Obsidian, Jade, and Nathan Haywood, Citizen Steel. A major focus of this movie will be the younger heroes carrying on the legacy of the original Justice Society, and the original members of the Justice Society will also appear, and they'll be mentors to the new members. The main villain of this movie is Eclipso. So what happens is this scientist named Bruce Gordon finds the diamond of Eclipso. His body becomes the host of Eclipso's soul. In the beginning of the movie, we will get a flashback of the Spectre fighting Eclipso. Mordred will be a secondary villain, and the post-credit scene will show the Spectre discovering the multiverse. So the next movie is Nightwing and Robin, and in this movie we'll see how the death of Batman has affected Nightwing. Nightwing will meet Damian Wayne, who is the son of Bruce and Talia that Bruce Wayne did not know about. So Dick takes in Damian as his Robin. This movie will also introduce the Court of Owls. A rogue member of the Court of Owls, known as Raptor, teams up with Nightwing. Dick will find out that his great-grandfather, William Cobb, is a Talon for the Court of Owls. Talon, he starts out as the villain of the movie, but then Raptor kills him, and then he, like, betrays Nightwing, and we find out Raptor is a part of the Cobra cult. And we also find out that doctor knew Dick's mom before Dick was born, and that Dick was actually named after Raptor. Dick will act as kind of a father figure for Damian, and we'll also see other members of the Bat family. The next movie is Doom Patrol 2. The members of Doom Patrol will be the same members of the first movie, in addition to Beast Boy, Flex Mentallo, and Bumblebee. The reason why Beast Boy's in this team is he is the adopted son of Mento and Elasta Woman. The Negative Spirit merges Negative Man with Dr. Eleanor Poole, and they become Rebus. So the main villains of this movie are the Brain and Monsieur Mala, and they want to get revenge on the Chief because he is the reason why the Brain lost his body and is just a brain. Brain and Mala, they have a supervillain team called the Brotherhood of Evil, which consists of Madame Rogue, General Immortus, Gargox, Gemini, Plasmus, and Phobia. And in this movie, Mala removes Robot Man's brain and replaces it with the brain. The heroes manage to get Robot Man his brain back. The Brotherhood of Evil kill the Chief. The next movie is Blue Beetle 2. Ted Kord returns, and he is a mentor to Jaime. Booster Gold took him from the past. Booster Gold will be a big part of the movie. The main villain of the movie will be Blood Beetle, who is Jaime's friend Paco, who has this scarab grafted onto him, which takes over his mind and turns him into the Blood Beetle. Jaime is trying to save Paco. Secondary villains in this movie will be Silverback, Lucreza, and Negotiator. In the third act, Jaime, Ted, and Booster Gold team up with The Question, Captain Atom, and Nightshade to stop Blood Beetle. Jaime convinces Paco to fight the Scarab's control and remove it after they beat Blood Beetle. Booster Gold decides to bring Ted back to his time. Next movie is Flash Terminal Velocity. Wally West, he is the Flash. He meets Barry Allen's grandson from the future, Bart Allen, aka Impulse. This movie will be about the Flash family. The Flash family will be Wally West, Bart Allen, Jay Garrick, Max Mercury, and Jesse Quick. Wally and Linda Park are married. Wally, he's got a new friend helping him out named Chunk. He's got like a black hole inside of him or something. So the main villain of this movie is the Black Flash, who is the Grim Reaper for speedsters. Bart has come from the future to warn Wally about him. Black Flash tries to take Wally, but he takes Linda instead, and he takes Linda to the Speed Force. And it is also revealed that Black Flash was there when Barry Allen died. The Tornado Twins from the future will also show up. So the next movie is Green Lantern Blackest Night. This has been what all the Green Lantern movies have been led up to. Necron has given William Hand the power of the Black Lantern. He has become Black Hand and is the main villain of the movie. He brings back all the dead heroes and villains, and they'll be members of the Black Lantern Corps. Hal has to work with the other Lantern Corps members to defeat Black Hand. Hal, John, Guy, Alan, and Kyle are all in this movie, and the Justice League will also show up to help. In this movie, Hal discovers the entity known as Parallax. In a desperate attempt to defeat the Black Lantern Corps, he becomes one with Parallax. At the end of the movie, Kyle becomes the White Lantern, which he uses to defeat Black Hand and Necron. So for TV shows, we'll have a Justice League Dark TV show, a Stargirl TV show, a TV show about Atlantis, a TV show about the Legion of Superheroes, a TV show about Krypton before it got exploded, and a TV show about the Human Target. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching. The first movie is Batman Beyond. So this movie is based off the animated series Batman Beyond. Terry McGinnis is this teenager who meets old man Bruce Wayne, and he saves him from some Joker goons, and he finds out that Bruce Wayne used to be Batman. But he's not Batman anymore since he retired because he's old. He physically cannot be Batman anymore. Because this takes place in the future. That's basically going to be like the plot of the movie. I know you may be thinking, hey, didn't Batman die in the last phase? And to that I say, yes. Yes, he did die. We are not bringing him back. This is another universe, fitting in with the multiverse concept. Yeah, it pretty much goes a lot like the show. His love interest will be Dana Tan. The main villain of this movie will be Blight, who was the main villain of season 1 of Batman Beyond. Derek Powers has Terry's father killed. Then Terry wants to get revenge on Derek Powers. Derek Powers, he gets into like this accident, this chemical accident that turns him into Blight, and like he's all like green and like all chemically. So the next movie is Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. So there is a book written by Tom King called Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. So this will be based off of it. I've read the book and you know what? It's decent. It's pretty good. Basically, there's this girl named Ruth that Supergirl meets, and she wants revenge on the person who killed her father. So Supergirl is like on a journey and something. So this will be kind of like a coming of age story where Supergirl goes on a journey with this girl named Ruth. Instead of Krem, who was like the villain of the book, since he was just created for that story, I think we should replace him with Rain, who's like a Supergirl villain. The heroes in this movie are Supergirl, Crypto, Ruth, Superboy, Steel, and Martian Manhunter. So the next movie is Birds of Prey: Cry for Blood. It's a sequel to Birds of Prey. The same members from the first movie will be back. Renee Montoya will help out the team, and the main villain of this movie will be Lady Shiva. So next movie is Doom Patrol 3. This is what's gonna end the trilogy. It'll be like a goodbye to the team. The villain could be like Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man. So the next movie is Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is a big one. So this will obviously be based off the storyline with the same name. If you don't know the story, well, this villain named the Anti-Monitor who wants to destroy every universe and the heroes have to stop him. So this time, like, the Justice League isn't like 7 or like 10 members. This is like Justice League Unlimited, where it's like all expanded and there's like a bunch of people and there's like a big watchtower. The Spectre is going to be the person who gathers all the heroes together to defeat the Anti-Monitors. Like I said in Justice League Legacy, he was discovering the multiverse, and in that he discovered Anti-Monitor. So in this movie, we will see a lot of the different universes in the DC multiverse. We'll have Earth 2, and if you remember, that's where the Justice Society are from. This is Justice League 5, but it'll also kind of be Justice Society 3. And we'll also see the Justice League of Earth 2. There'll be like a Superman and Batman from Earth 2. This movie will also introduce the Monitor, Harbinger, Pariah, Alexander Luthor Jr., and Superboy Prime. This movie will have many deaths in it. It'll have the death of Supergirl, Aquaman, Green Arrow, and Martian Manhunter. We will also see Earth 3, which gets destroyed. From Earth 3, there's the Crime Syndicate, which is basically the Justice League but evil, and we will see the Anti-Monitor kill them. Alexander Luthor Jr. is also from that Earth, but he escapes. It's kind of like the heroes are the villains and the villains are the heroes, and so Lex Luthor is a hero and his son is like a hero there too, and he helps the team. At the end of the movie, the Spectre, Earth 2 Superman, Alex Jr., and Superboy Prime defeat the Anti-Monitor. But even though they defeated him, they're too late because he already destroyed the multiverse. All the worlds get destroyed and there is just a new Earth to replace it. Surviving inhabitants of those Earths live in New Earth. Most of the Earths are gone, but there's just only one Earth now. So after they defeat Anti-Monitor. Superman and Lois from Earth 2 go with Alexander Jr. and Superboy Prime to live in this dimension that Alex Luthor has created called a Paradise Dimension. But at the end of the movie, Alexander Jr. starts manipulating Superboy Prime into destroying the new Earth. We'll have a post-credit scene where the Spectre finds out about Luthor's plot, but he can't do anything to stop it since his powers have weakened after the fight against Anti-Monitor. So he turns to Parallax, who Hal Jordan has become at the end of Blackest Night, to help him. So the next movie is Static 2. This is kind of like a break from the big multiverse stuff, and this will just be a grounded story. It'll take place before the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Virgil, he's been a superhero for a bit, and his best friend Richie becomes Gear and is going to be like his sidekick. Virgil also meets Daisy Watkins, who will be his love interest in the movie. So in this movie, he can go up against Rubber Band Man, who like wants revenge on a producer who stole a song like in the show. His brother is Ebon, who wants to recruit him in his gang. Instead of Static defeating the bad guy in the end, we can have it so that Static convinces Rubber Band Man to reform and like turn himself into the cops. So the next movie is Young Justice. This team will be Tim Drake, Con-El, Cassie Sandsmark, Impulse, Calderam, Blue Beetle, Static, Connor Hawk, Terra, and Miss Martian. So this movie will take place directly after Crisis on Infinite Earths. The team comes together to stop Superboy Prime from destroying the universe. And so we'll see Superboy Prime kill Teen Titans members like Speedy, Raven, Jericho, Cyborg, and Beast Boy. You might be thinking, how are these guys going to be able to beat Superboy Prime, like one of the most powerful characters? Well, they're kind of not going to be able to. The only person that is able to is Superboy, aka Con-El, but he dies in a fight with him, and it'll be kind of like a heroic sacrifice that he does to save the other members. So in the end, the team loses, but in the process, they find out Superboy Prime is actually working for Alexander Luthor Jr. At the end, they go to the Justice League to tell them about Alex Jr.'s plan to use Superboy Prime to destroy the New Earth. The next movie is Justice League Infinite Crisis, which is a follow-up to Crisis on Infinite Earths. And now that the multiverse is destroyed, Alex Jr. wants to get rid of New Earth and create his own perfect world using the Anti-Monitor's powers with the help of Superboy Prime. So the villain of this movie, in his own mind, he thinks he's doing good. He wants to essentially play God and make his own Earth that's a perfect utopia. Alex Jr. kills the Spectre and steals his powers, and Alex Jr. creates Brother Eye and uses Anti-Monitor's corpse to power it, and he wants to use Brother Eye to help create the perfect Earth, and the person he puts in charge of it is Maxwell Lord. Will have many teams like the Justice League, the Young Justice, the Justice Society, and the Doom Patrol, and other heroes who survived the multiverse explosion, all working together to stop Alex Jr. from playing God. Someone else who the heroes have working with them is Lex Luthor, who is reformed. The only person who doesn't trust him is Superman from Earth 2, who was in the Paradise Dimension, but he comes to New Earth to help the heroes when he finds out about Alex Jr.'s plan. In his attempts to create the perfect Earth, Alexander Luthor Jr. recreates New Earth 2. Superboy Prime, he's been pounding on the barrier of reality, which causes ripples in the timeline, which creates alternate universe. So both Alexander Jr. and Superboy Prime, in their attempt to make a perfect world, they're unknowingly recreating the multiverse. Heroes have to battle an army of Omax. Superboy Prime gets defeated by Parallax, aka Hal Jordan, and then he gets imprisoned by the Green Lantern Corps. Hal Jordan kind of gets a redemption arc, and in the end, he becomes the Spectre. So at the end, Dick, Wally, Donna, and Kyle fight Alexander Jr. In the fight, he blasts them. After he blasts them, he drains the power he has, and he becomes weak. Since Dick is like the only normal guy out of those guys, he gets badly injured. So since Alex Jr. is all weak, he escapes. He's found by Lex Luthor, who kills him. And that's it. The next movie is Flash Blitz. This takes place directly after Infinite Crisis. Wally is just really tired because he had to save the multiverse like 2 times. Wally is a father now, taking care of his kids with his wife Linda. And Wally is also mentoring the children of Barry and Iris, Dawn and Dawn, who are getting their powers. So the main villain of this movie is Hunter Zolomon. The events of Fastest Man Alive, he was injured and paralyzed from the waist down by Mirror Master, and he asked Wally to go back in time to stop him from getting his injuries, but Wally refused because he didn't want to damage the time stream. So Hunter breaks into the Flash Museum and tries to use the cosmic treadmill, even though he's paralyzed. I don't know how that just happened in the comics. I don't know. An accident happens that gives him the power to slow down time, kind of like super speed, and he steals the Reverse Flash suit from the Flash Museum, and he starts calling himself Zoom. Bart Allen, Jay Garrick, Max Mercury, and Jesse Quick will also appear in this. There will be a scene where Wally and Hunter go into the Speed Force, and Wally sees Barry, and they get kind of a heartfelt talk. So yeah, that's it for movies. Let's move on to TV shows. We'll get a Jonah Hex show, a Creature Commandos animated series, kind of like James Gunn's universe, a show about the Authority, a show about the Rogues, a show about the League of Assassins, and a Peacemaker show. So that is it for Phase 6 of my DC cinematic universe. And oh boy, it's I can say I have fun, but some of the process is fun, some of it is not. But I'm glad to see that people actually enjoy these videos, and there's a lot of views, and I've gotten some really nice comments from people who seem to really enjoy it. I got some comments where people are suggesting their own universes, cinematic universes, which is great. Continue, but I think by the time the MCU starts doing their phase 7, 8, and 9, then I'll just be like, okay, I'll make my own, since they're still on phase 5. So I don't want to get too ahead of myself and just plan of 50 years worth of movies. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I'll do phase 4, 5, and 6 of my Marvel universe. Another thing I want to say is I am not trying to say that I'm better than the actual universes they make, because this isn't what I think will be better than the DC MCU, DCEU, or DCU. No, this is just what I would like. This is just personally. Looking at this would not be realistic. Let's be honest. Obviously, I myself can't plan out all these movies because there's a lot of other factors, but this is just my own imaginary universe, and if the DC cinematic universe was at this exact structure, I don't think it would be good. We were watching this video, which I doubt. No. Why would James Gunn be watching a 318 subscriber YouTube channel? If you are watching, you can hire me. I'd like a job. I have some ideas. I wouldn't name my own create the universe, but I can. So, anyways, enough of that. So, yeah, bye. That's it.